In his Maryland primary campaigning, Wallace had met with several hostile incidents before that Laurel rally today. That story, too, from David Dick.
When you can't walk the streets of Washington, D.C. in the daytime, when you work in the Philadelphia Inquirer and cannot walk across the street and get your check cashed without fear of something happening to you, it's a sad commentary. In the nation's capital, and I say that the majority of people of all races are fed up with the breakdown of law and order in this country, and the two other candidates...
For some reason, we don't know what, Governor Wallace experienced more demonstrations, physical demonstrations against him in Maryland than in any other state since the campaign began in January. This was in Hagerstown, where we first noticed it, at the Maryland State Armory. 3 persons were arrested. It was a daylight rally. The first person was arrested when he refused to move when ordered to do so. The second when he allegedly struck a plainclothes officer. And the third after fighting broke out following the governor's speech. You cannot see here, but 3 eggs were thrown at the governor at this rally. And this arrest, the third that followed the governor's speech in Hagerstown after fighting broke out. This was in Hagerstown, Maryland, and there was an angry crowd outside the armory. This is the governor's car the morning after Frederick, Maryland. That the result of a brickbat thrown in the night as the governor's motorcade pulled away from the state armory in Frederick. Had it been about 2 feet higher, it would have broken the window. This, an example of the tightened security, Cambridge, Maryland, where it had been thought that perhaps there would be trouble, but only about 6 demonstrators in front of the armory.
Because they'd say that offends a man's dignity. I advocate a screening program, and in
objects thrown at the governor.
All that bad.
Secret Service batting away what appeared to be wadded up paper, some pennies thrown at the governor.
For being late, and
the difference in 1972 and 1968, the governor does not taunt the crowds. And things like this did not happen in the other states.
You know, we got free speech folks that believe in free speech for everybody but themselves, and what the American people are fed up with are a few folks that try to have their way when the mass of the people want to listen out here. My friends, I'm the war in Southeast Asia, and I want all you young people, black and white, regardless, I want you to know that I appreciate you being here. I'm interested in you. Well, I'm going home, but I'm going home after tomorrow when the people have spoken in this state in Michigan, and when they speak, you're going to find out that the majority of the people in this country are fed up. I appreciate you being here. I hope you'll give them the same fine as thanks on tomorrow and shake them up good and give us a good vote here in Montgomery County. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Here again, this film of Governor Wallace being shot in Laurel, Maryland today while on a campaign speaking tour, this time in slow motion. First, you will see the shooting weapon being raised. The weapon is raised there. You can see it. And then the first shot being fired. The second and the third shots as Governor Wallace collapses to the ground. And reacting instantly, those around the suspect grab a hold of him. As David Dick had reported earlier, they had had a hand on him, pushing the pistol down even as he fired. Governor Wallace lying on the ground before anyone had reached him. It was only a moment before his supporters were around him, including his wife. Wallace had feared an attack upon himself. Since his first presidential campaign in 1964, he frequently referred to threats against his life. Only last Friday morning, he spoke to a group at the Harvard Club in New York and mentioned the problems of security. He said that only the night before, a man had been picked up with a gun at one of his rallies in Maryland. However, Maryland State Police said they were unaware of any such episode. Like all presidential candidates this year, Wallace traveled with a contingent of 4 to 5 Secret Service men, especially assigned to protect him against just such an incident as this afternoon's. But in addition, Wallace had his own private bodyguards, a crack corps of Alabama state troopers, usually 5 or 6 in number, who traveled with the governor in plain clothes. And what came to be a Wallace trademark when speaking at rallies was that special bulletproof podium behind which the governor stood. For the most part, on such occasions, only a space would be visible to the audience. Wallace used the podium at today's rally. Incidentally, at the time Secret Service agents were assigned to this year's presidential candidates, Senator Edward Kennedy was excluded from the list because he had disavowed any candidacy. But today, the White House announced that Kennedy is accepting President Nixon's offer of Secret Service protection on a temporary basis because of today's shooting. The attempt